welcome to the kitchen at Westminster for another episode of Saving Time. This week's recipe is, I think, the epitome of economy cooking. This is what you do when you've got bread that, it's not terrible, but it's not going to make a good sandwich anymore. I've done this with anything left over. This week we're actually doing it with some hot cross buns that I had left over from Easter. Great way to use them up. Also a good spot to hide milk, that though it's not bad, it's not maybe what you'd want to drink out of a glass, just like that. So, this is economy. This is cleaning up some bread, some milk, and a few eggs. Everything else is just your regular pantry staples. If you've got an apple that's seen better days, also a good place to tuck it in. This is, honestly, I don't have anything to tell you about costs this week. We're going to have a dessert ready in under an hour. We're going to use up some things that maybe otherwise would have gone to the compost. I love the compost, but this time we're going to eat it. And all of this, honestly, if you had to go out and buy it, you might spend $2. So this is nothing. So let's get to it. It's too easy. I had hot cross buns left over, and I didn't even use all of them. So these ones I think I'll toast up. You need about 6 cups of bread. So these are 4-cup measures, and you can see I cut them just into cubes, okay? You don't have to be exact, they don't all have to be the same, but just generally. So cut up your bread, and honestly, you know what? If you don't have any bread, but you want a bread pudding, if you would look in the grocery stores, quite often the bakery racks will have breads that, again, are maybe the last day on the best before date sort of thing, and they're often marked 50% off. One baguette would give you enough. So you can pick up a baguette for under $1 quite often off one of those racks, and away you go. Cut it up into cubes, and then dump it into a buttered casserole dish. Think in terms of like a 9x13 pan. Now this dessert goes to the table in the dish you bake it in, so if you have something that's good looking, and then by all means choose it so that it looks great when it goes to the table. Dump it in there, that's all of it. Spread it around a little bit so that, you know, you've got about an even layer. You don't have to get too carried away. And then my hot crust buns already had some sultanas and raisins and currants in them, but I'm still going to add some more. So I'm going to add half a cup of raisins and just sprinkle them around on top of the bread. Again, imagine so that every bite has some raisins. Now, in my house, my daughter isn't a fan of raisins, so I always leave one end without any for her, right? Because, I mean, come on, it's nothing and it makes everybody happy. So do a similar thing. When I said about if you've got a sketchy kind of apple or a spotty one that nobody's going to want to eat in your lunch kit, cut it up and just sprinkle the bits of apple around in there with the bread. Anything goes. If it's dried cranberries you have, throw them in. Don't think about it too much. You've got some pecans or walnuts, toss them in. Okay, just think in terms of half to 1 cup more of add-in things. That's all set, good to go. Look at how easy this is, it's nothing. We need 4 eggs. Grab yourself a spot for your compost. 4 eggs and 3 cups of milk. And the milk, if it's cream you've got, use cream, okay? Don't think about it too much. Milk or cream. I've never done it with, excuse me, I haven't ever made it with soy milk, or I got a shell in there, I gotta pluck it out. Oh my goodness, it's hard to get them out. They're easy to get in, but hard to get out. And I've never done it with almond milk or soy milk or anything, but I have no reason to imagine why it wouldn't work. Of course it would. So feel free, if you're a lactose-free house and you want to use something like that, go ahead. There we are. That's it for compost today because everything else was already in the works. Wipe my fingers up a little bit. I'm going to give this a quick whisk just to break up the eggs before I've got the bowl too full. And we're here this morning and there's people chatting, so we can't talk right now. We're filming, thank you. And this is a place of people, which is a great thing, right? It's a place of people. Sometimes Shannon and I are in here in the evenings, sometimes in the daytime. And dump in 3 cups of milk, Get that out of the way. Again, give it a little stir just to blend it up. 1 cup of brown sugar. In she goes. About a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, so in my world, that's a couple of pinches, okay? 1/4 teaspoon, I mean, you can imagine, you're just putting a little something in there. A teaspoon of vanilla extract, and you know what, if you don't have any vanilla, don't torment yourself about it. If you've got a little bit of maple syrup, you could dip that in too. It's just to give it a little something. And finally, a couple teaspoons of cinnamon. And I'm not gonna think about it too much, just that. That's it. I'm not even kidding. This is how easy this is. We're gonna have this ready. Haha, see, this week I've got my friend Christy here helping me out by taping, and she doesn't know how useful Shannon is to me in keeping me organized. Shannon always reminds me that I haven't told anyone what to preheat the oven to. 350. 350 is where it needs to be. So we're just making sure everything's blended, especially make sure there's no clumps of brown sugar in there, okay? Because brown sugar can get that way. So just make sure. It would be a shame to have like a big concentrated spot of sugar happening. And you're making a custard of sorts, so you want to make sure you've added enough air to your eggs to give it light, okay? You want it to be light. And that's probably pretty good. I'm going to say it is. It's good enough. Honestly, this is it. This is how simple this dessert is. We've got our bread and our raisins in here. Now our custard, and you're just going to pour it over so that we don't want to do a lot of stirring around, so just kind of pour it around so that you're covering it all. Grab a spatula, don't waste any. Don't waste any of that not quite sour milk. Make sure you get it all in there. Honestly, I'm not even kidding. This is exactly what we used to do. You've got stale bread or sketchy milk. It goes into either French toast or a bread pudding, okay? Never, don't throw that out. I think they say not to feed the birds and the ducks bread. I can't remember what the reasoning is for that, but I think they discourage us from doing that. I mean, it's nice to do it when you're at a park or something, but I think they actually say not to do that anymore. I'm not sure why. There's a very good reason for it, but I know food. I know food. I don't know ducks. I know food. So here, just using my spatula to make sure that all of the bread is at least wet, okay? It doesn't need to be submerged, but it needs to be at least wet. Now, if your oven isn't quite ready, throw a tea towel or something over top of it. It'll sit happily until your oven's ready. There's nothing to get nervous about with that. My oven is preheated, so I'll go ahead and put it in. We're gonna go anywhere from 35 to 45 minutes. And we're gonna know it's done when you put a knife in the center that comes out relatively clean. It's hard to tell. It's going to come down to, is your casserole dish more deep or long? And did your bread soak up a lot of the custard or not? So just working with it like that. I'm gonna take my glasses off because they're gonna steam up when I open that oven. And there we are. Remember last week it tried to be tight again? I don't know why. Maybe I was just weak last week. It's going in the oven. There she goes. I've already put 35 minutes on my timer. So away it goes. I should say, there are probably as many recipes for bread pudding as there are bread puddings to be eaten, because this is an old traditional way to use things up, and I'm sure that a lot of the time people weren't even measuring. They were just saying, that looks like enough milk for that much bread. So you're gonna get the feel for it. I'm gonna see you back here again in 35 minutes when we're ready to take that out of the oven. If you haven't got dinner ready, get busy, dessert's on its way. Okay, I just took it out of the oven and it's beautiful. Look at the gorgeous color on that. This is so good. It smells divine. It smells so good. This is master of economy right here. This is beautiful food. We did it for next to nothing. We used up stuff we otherwise were gonna put in the compost pile, which is a great thing to do, but even better if we can keep eating. It's going to be delicious. Quit letting food eat up all your time and money. You saw how easy this was. Don't go out and buy dessert, okay? Just make this. This was nothing. This took 0 effort. I'm gonna get a serving out right now. And you can cut it if you want, or scoop it out, which is what I'm going to do. Either way, and just lifts out easy peasy. Look at that, it's gorgeous. There's some raisins down here, I'm gonna get them. I don't wanna rip anybody off. And then, poor Christy's got a bad cough. I got out some maple syrup. Honestly, you're gonna dress it however you want. If you wanna do a shot of whipped cream, do that. Little maple syrup, and cream of anything. If you have just milk, a little bit of milk, anything goes, okay? Top it with something. I'm gonna put a little drizzle of maple syrup on this one. And just like that. And here it is, beautiful bread pudding. We made it in no time flat, and for next to nothing. Come on, make this your next dessert, okay? Quit going out and spending a fortune on desserts. This is so easy. You're gonna love it. I promise you, your kitchen's gonna smell like a lot more than the $2 in 20 minutes we got in this.